John with Agile Off-Road. We're going to do a slip test on an INEOS Grenadier. We're going to show you how capable it is and how not so capable it is, depending on which scenario you're in. With a slip test, what we've done is we've produced these rollers, or we use them on the sprinters for testing the sprinters on, so we can check traction control, things like that. So they're real heavy duty. We can do it a number of different ways. We're not going to go too far down the rabbit hole. We're just going to cover a few different ways. We're going to do a cross slip, which will be one front tire and one rear tire opposing from each other, having no traction. Then we're going to go to two front tires with no traction. Then we'll go to one front tire with traction and all the other ones slipping. So we'll kind of give you an idea of what's happening. We will be using all-wheel drive and we will be using four-wheel drive, because with the Grenadier you can shift from all-wheel drive into four-wheel drive. So we're locking the center differential. And then this Grenadier has all the off-road upgrades, so it does have the rough pack, and that has front and rear lockers, and we will demonstrate those as well. You will see significant differences in it. Now, with a slip test like this, we found that driving this just like gassing it, it will allow us to get enough momentum to where it will come off the rollers, because the rollers will generate a little bit of friction inside of them. They're not, you know, precision bearings, but they are pretty slippy. But we're going to notice where we're not seeing a very effective traction control when you're using all-wheel drive non-lockers and even four-wheel drive non-lockers. We can turn off ESP. For the most part, we're going to leave the ESP on. I feel that with the stability control with the ESP on, that would enable us to get in some type of braking that will allow us to show the vehicle driving off. So we'll show you a few of the steps, and if you have questions for us, please leave us questions. We'll try and answer them as best we can. I'll do my best to describe what we're doing, and let's hop in this Grenadier and check it out. Okay, so we're in the Grenadier. We're in all-wheel drive, which is the normal driving condition that you're going to be in. We're in high range too. We probably won't shift into, well, we will shift into low range, turn on the lockers, but for the most part for this cross slip. So right now I've got my passenger front slip and my driver's rear slipping. So I'll pop it into gear. I do not have stability control off or ESP or anything. I'm not going to saw the wheel. This is kind of a sterile environment. When you're off-road, if you were to saw the wheel back and forth, you might get like side bite, something like that. That might help you. But for the most part, we're just going to simulate what's happening. So as I accelerate, we're not going really anywhere. I'm getting a little bit of momentum feel from the friction in the rollers. I'm getting my slip on the dash. My stability control is kicking on there because it's seeing a difference between the two. And we're not going anywhere. I'm not feeling any type of braking with the system at all. And again, I'm getting the slip on the dash. I know that if I were just gun it really hard, I believe that I get enough friction in the rollers, I'd drive out of it. But there's absolutely no traction control whatsoever. So I'm gonna stop. And what we'll do is, we're just gonna put it into four-wheel drive to see if it does anything. Now keep in mind, four-wheel drive is locking the center diff. It's not really doing anything to traction control. Well, it does turn off. It does turn off the ESP. Yeah, or it does. Yeah, ESP is off. Okay, it does turn that off, but I don't think that's a benefit for us. Now we're in four-wheel drive, center diff's locked. Nothing. Same thing. I'm not feeling braking. I'm not hearing anything. It feels pretty smooth. There's no, normally a traction control would break the tire that's spinning and allow it to transfer power to the other side. So I'm going to stop it. And then in this case, put it into low range. So I went into neutral, we're in low range. It will lock pretty fast when it's slipping like this. Yeah. It engages pretty damn fast. So center diff locked, I'm in low range. I get a little bit more torque, obviously, because now we're 2.5 to 1. So I feel like it's actually wanting to climb out of the rollers because it's got a bit more torque. So again, I think I can just throttle it and it will go out, but we're not seeing any type of traction control coming on. Yeah, there it goes. It just wants to, it will climb out of the rollers due to the amount of torque and friction it's generating in the rollers. Okay, so now, real simple, we will drive right out. I'm going to turn on the locker. Okay, locker is engaged, and honestly, I'm just going to buttery touch the throttle, and it climbs right out. So that's pretty significant difference in the way that the locker engagement cures that for the cross slip. So we're going to restage everything. We're just going to slip the front end and see what that looks like, and get everybody's kind of clued in on what that's doing for you. So we're going to take the one slipper from the rear or roller, and we're going to put it on the front. All right, so now we got both front tires slipping. We're in high range all-wheel drive, which is how you would normally drive this on the street. I'm going to put it into drive. No stability control off, ESC, any of that. And as we drive it, it is just applying torque to the front. I can feel the front end moving off to one side. We're not getting any type of traction control. Now, one thing on the transfer case is, remember we talked about it being, basically there's a differential in there. So I'm not completely clear exactly how it is. I know there's a worm gear drive between the four-wheel drive unit. I believe there is a center differential, like literally a differential like you would see in the front end or the rear end of an off-road vehicle. If not, there's potential there could be a planetary gear or something like that. And when we shift it into four-wheel drive, we lock up that unit just like you would when you install your locker. You know, you turn on your locker, it locks a differential, makes both right and front tires rotate. That would be the same in the rear, front to rear. So locking that center differential or the center transfer case is what we would do. So again, in all-wheel drive, we're opening in the front, we're slipping both front tires, and this is allowing us to get no torque to the rear. So now I'm going to put it into four-wheel drive. The shift on the fly with these, I don't want the front tire spinning, so I'm going to put the brake on. I'm going to shift it over. It's going to engage really fast. It should just drive right off. So let's see what it does. Yep, there it goes, drove right off. I mean, I just blipped the throttle and it drove right off. So pretty simple. So that'll give you the difference between front and rear. Now, obviously, when we were slipped, one front, one rear, things got a little bit more complicated because then it brought in the differentials and the axles. But if you just have traction in the front and not the rear, or just traction in the rear and not the front, you're going to slip the center differential. So it's important when you go off-road that you engage that center differential. So let's do another scenario. Let's really get it stuck. Let's get 3 wheels stuck, and then just show you how, you know, just amazing that that locker will do for you. All right, so we've created the worst case scenario for the Grenadier. So we have 3 tires slipping. We've got both rear tires slipping and the driver's front tire slipping. So we kind of know this is not, you know, we know this is like a sterile environment. And again, it's not perfect because we know we can actually just throttle out over these rollers, so we really got on it, and bind up the rollers. But we're showing how the traction control is working, or how it should work. And we're not seeing that. So I'm going to put it in all-wheel drive. I think from what we know, it shouldn't get out. Now I'm going to put it into four-wheel drive, and again, it probably still won't get out. Then we're going to engage the rear locker. We'll still not get out. And then finally, with the front locker, we should be able to get out. So we'll be using all the tools that the Grenadier has for us. And that's what makes a vehicle like this, like the Grenadier, or a vehicle that has selectable lockers and center differentials, just so capable and so good off-road. So let's start. So I'm gonna give it gas in all-wheel drive, 3 slippings, and I can feel the vehicle actually kind of wanting to slide off the rollers because it's dipping down, but I'm not feeling any traction control coming on. Yeah, nothing. And it's actually not getting enough momentum to even roll up out of the rollers. Might be able to do it if I turn the wheel. So let's engage four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive, it's gonna lock real fast. Yep, there it goes. ESP turned off, or traction control turned off. And we're getting kind of the same thing. Really not going anywhere. I'm not hearing any braking going on. I can hear one of the tires hitting the side of the roller. And I'm also getting my stability control kicking on the dash. So it's not wanting to go anywhere. So it's going to low range. So we got to go into neutral. Shifting to low range. So we got low, we got locked, put it into drive. Now, of course, low range, we're going to get more torque. That might, again, give us more torque to pull us out over the rollers, create more friction. See if it'll do it. I don't want to really get it to do it, but it doesn't actually feel like it wants to do it any more than the other times. Yeah, it's moving around. So that's kind of cheating for our simulation. But low range doing nothing. Okay, so let's engage locker. One push. Rear locker is engaged. I felt it get more stable. Nothing. Yeah, it's way more stable with the rear locker. So now both rear tires are spinning the same. I'm not seeing it, but I'm assuming the front is too, because we know we're locked in the front. Now let's get into front locker. One push on the front locker. Might take a little bit more pedal, but I have a feeling it's not going to take much. I'm just going to ease on the gas. Whoop, there it went. Struggling a little bit, but you can actually just feel it. It's probably spinning on the concrete. So yeah, it's spinning on the concrete. So I guess our floors are too clean. Again, we're in a pretty sterile environment. If this was in the dirt, you could see where that traction would actually, if you had a more traction surface, it would enable you to just drive right out. I'm gonna give it a little bit of gas. Hopefully I don't run into my one of these vehicles in here. See what it does. There it goes. Actually, it was easier than I thought. So it did just kind of roll right out once I got enough friction in the tires. These tires are not aired down. They're at 35, 36 PSI. What are they at? 37, 38 PSI. So there you go. That's the Grenadier. That's all the tools in the tool chest to get you out. That's what makes the Grenadier a really, really extremely capable vehicle. Pretty much off the shelf too. This Grenadier is modified with bigger tires, a few accessories, but for the most part, stock drivetrain, stock components, stock travel, all of those components are stock. Extremely capable vehicle from the dealer. Okay, so don't know what you thought, but here's what I think. Never felt any type of traction control come on. Did feel stability control come on when tires were spinning at certain speeds and out of sync, but it didn't really do anything. All in all, extremely capable vehicle with all the right tools. You saw where we got it in its worst case scenario. We were able to drive out with both front and rear lockers engaged and the center differential engaged and low range. It probably did a burnout on the concrete over here pretty good. Honestly, it drove right out. You also saw where when you had it cross-checked with the locker on, where you had it cross-slipped, turn the locker on, I mean, literally it took no gas at all to drive right out. So the Grenadier clearly is an extremely capable vehicle for what it is. This one's modified, as I've talked about, with larger tires, things like that. Those will definitely help you out. For the most part, a stock Grenadier off the shelf has all the right tools for you to get lost in the wilderness and get the traction that you need. Of course, there's 100 ways that you could get this thing on these rollers and get it slipping. Ultimately, the front locker engage pulled it out. So great vehicle. Let us know what you think. If we've missed something, please let us know. And happy trails, everybody.